So you can see the agency owner, right? So this is kind of how it looks. This is a little bit of a dumbed down version within our agency. So I'm the agency owner here, right here, right? And then we have project manager. So in my agency, we actually have 3 of these right now. And then we have our sales and client success person. So that's a really good pairing. This should probably actually be separated into 2 separate boxes. There should be the salesperson and client success. In my agency, we have this Jeff who handles both of these positions, right? It's a really good combination. So for the agency owner, for most of you guys, that's going to be you, right? You need to pay attention to who you are and what some of the traits that you have are, and then you need to be looking for people that's complementing your weaknesses, right? So that was one of the mistakes I made. So generally, people fall into kind of 2 categories. They're an integrator, which is somebody that's going to really like systems, right? And or they're a visionary, which is someone that is going to not really enjoy the day-to-day stuff so much, but oftentimes they're gonna gravitate towards like new business ideas, new revenue ideas. A lot of times these are going to be sales type of people. So one way to tell is different tests, and there's a lot of information on this mentality. This comes from, I think, Gino Wickman, who wrote Traction and a few other books on business management. He talks a lot about this mentality. So that if you were to ask like a visionary, if you're going to ask me how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, my answer is going to look like you're going to grab a plate, or I'm sorry, you're going to get a piece of peanut butter, you're going to get a piece of bread, another piece of bread, put peanut butter on one side, jelly on the other, put them together, and then you're done. But if you ask an integrator how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, they're going to be like, get a plate, you're going to open up the drawer, you're going to get a knife, you're going to get the bread, you're going to untie. They're going to go through all the little tiny steps, right? That's how they think. They think in those details. You need to have both of these. You need someone that can really help you with this day-to-day stuff and can help with the accountability of your business, right? They can help you set up the systems. They enjoy managing the little details. So generally, people are going to fall into one of those 2 things. Another good kind of test for an integrator is the integrator type of people are the people that you're always going to be able to rely on. So if you know people in your life, when they say something's going to be done, then it's done. They show up on time all the time, right? So that kind of personality type. So you can dive deeper into that. But as you build out your agency, you want to take into account where you're weak and where you're strong, and you need to build in these opposing forces, right? So for me, I'm a visionary. This is why I built LeadSnap, right? I built a big solution, and holding people accountable is something that I've struggled with. It's this day-to-day stuff is not what I enjoy. I don't like having to kind of police people, and doing repetitive tasks is not, that's painful for me. Okay, so when you're hiring your manager, this is someone that is going to be a good integrator. When you're hiring your sales and client success, a lot of times you're going to look for a visionary person here. So the project manager is going to be responsible for managing these people, these roles that are down here. And we'll get into more of these shortly.
Can we share this in the group, Patrick?
Yeah, we'll share this. We'll share this. We'll share the scorecard too. I'll talk more about that later, but this will be available, and you guys will have access to this. But so project manager is going to be managing these people kind of here below, right? So the developer assistants. Now, the way that you have your assistant set up might be, let me make this a little bigger for you guys. The way you guys have this set up, you might have a different collection of assistants here, right? Or maybe you've got, maybe you've got one for backlinks. We used to have a backlink assistant, and then we decided that we were just going to purchase our backlinks because it was a lot to manage. But for a long time, we had a backlink person in here. But I think this is a really good structure. And here's what I think you guys should do. Let's say that my agency, I'm the only person in my agency. I still think you should build this out and identify all the different roles that will exist within your agency, and then assign the responsibilities to each one. And it's okay if you write your name on each one of these squares for yourself. Pull yourself out of the company at some point, or at least only have this agency owner role. Then you know the responsibilities that you're going to have to fill. You know, hey, I need this to do this. And as you do these things, because you're the only one in your agency, or maybe you're handling these, Well, you can be building out the training. You can, like the camcorder method, right? So essentially you're just going to talk while you do this, explain why you do it, create that video, put it into a some sort of library that someone can follow. And then when you bring these people on, you've got this stuff filled out. It's a really good thing to have an SOP be, or I mean, an FAQ be a part of your SOP. Your SOP is standard operating procedure, right? So it's a good idea to have that FAQ be a part of it. And every time somebody asks a question, we can put that into the SOP. And, you know, as we bring on more people, then those questions will already be answered, right? And we keep adjusting it based on the feedback that we get, the training from the people that we're training, right? Or the questions that they have. So if you want to scale your agency, it's going to require you to effectively leverage other people's time. And this is kind of the pathway to being able to do that, right? You've got to have your SOPs in place. Okay, so we've got Jeff, who is our sales and client success. So the client success, we know what sales are, right? There's actually probably another piece in here, which is prospecting. So Jeff has handled all of those. So prospecting is actually trying to find the new clients, right? And then sales is the conversations that happen after they're found. And then client success is the monthly or weekly check-ins with the clients to make sure that they're happy. If you're not doing that, then you're probably missing out on the opportunity to raise the rent on these people. You guys have heard the story about how we have, we had one client that was $1,500 a month, and we got them up to $13,500. They've actually retracted a little bit. We're going to get them back beyond that number, but that ability to scale has happened because Jeff, our client success manager, is checking in with them, building that relationship, finding out that they want to grow, and identifying those opportunities of how we can scale that person. So in our agency, we have a WordPress developer. We actually have a few of these, and then we have these different assistants, right? So obviously, if you're not using WordPress, you're using maybe Weebly or some other platform, then you know, that's still a developer position that can exist. Maybe this could just say website developer, right? And then we've got, in our agency, we have multiple people that are kind of working on our Google Business Profile stuff. So these people are reaching out, they're posting ads, they're following up with Google to try to remove suspensions and stuff like this. We have, in our agency, we have somebody that answers the calls, right? For the ones that we don't have clients for yet. They answer those calls, they take that information, and a lot of times what they're doing is they're passing that over to Jeff. And they're saying like, hey, here's leads that we don't have a client for. And then Jeff can kind of use those to go and prospect, get into a sales conversation. Okay, so this was a learning experience for me, this metrics and reporting. I wish I would have been doing this for a long time, because as our agency grew, it became hard for us to track how things were going with all our different sites. And a lot of the inspiration for parts of LeadSnap that are in place and stuff that we are building out now has come from this like metrics and reporting, where it's like, hey, I need information that I don't have, and they go and they will gather it. So if you look at this lead QA, this person will go through and you know, they'll listen to a lot of the conversations to qualify the leads. So we have so many leads coming in. I can justify having someone do this all the time, and we've got a lot better idea of the real leads. One of the cool things that we're going to be building in LeadSnap is transcription, right? So the phone calls will be transcribed, and then making that searchable so that we can kind of have an auto qualification process, but we're not there yet. But I've got somebody that goes through and does that for us. With the metrics and reporting, they'll be going through and they'll be gathering like the heat maps and reporting on us like, hey, the heat map average dipped for this one, or it went up, right? Or maybe they're gathering, they're looking at the leads month over month, and they're saying like, okay, here's the cost per lead for this client. This is maybe out of whack, whether we're charging too much or not charging enough. So we have somebody that goes through, and their job is to just gather that information and give us a report on that. And we meet Jeff, myself, and this person, we meet every Monday, and we go over this to see if there's any issues. And it's her job to identify if there's a problem based on the criteria that we've set her up with, right? And then we have assistants that are working to identify, you know, issues with content, and do we need more content on this site? So we've given them the rules on how to evaluate this. And this also goes on to our authors, but it's kind of like their job to handle this content development and delivery and making sure that it gets put onto our sites. Okay, so as we look across the bottom here, you'll see that we have a couple different scorecards that I'm going to run through. Oops, that's not scrolling how I want. So one of the things that we track on a weekly basis, so we pay a lot of attention to this, and we're actually building. So as I was saying, some of the stuff we have come up with, like, hey, this is the format that we would want it. Like, obviously, it's going to look cooler when it's in LeadSnap, but this is the information we want. We want to know where we were. So if you say, like, hey, this is Larry's towing, and we've got our website and we've got our short URL. So the short URL is just a link directly to the Google business profile that we're evaluating. And this ranking, you can see, like, this is how it was, whatever, 2 weeks ago, and then a week ago, and then I guess that would be 2 days ago. So we're tracking this, and this is not the ranking for one keyword. Like you'll see over here, heat map rankings show 5 to 7 keywords, like maybe 10, maybe we go up to 10, but we're tracking the average score for the heat maps across a collection of different terms, right? So we're doing this and we're paying attention to this, and you can see that we have it color coded based on how things are moving, right? And where we are. And it makes it really easy for us to uncover a trend in either direction, right? So this is some of the stuff that we're going to be building directly into LeadSnap. So you have this reporting. We have so much cool stuff that I'm not willing to share until we get it out, related to the whole flow of how Google Business Profiles work, rank tracking, all sorts of stuff that we're going to be putting in here, and new reporting that's associated with this. So this will give you kind of like maybe some insight into some of the stuff that we're doing. But the idea is, especially like if you've got like 3 Google Business Profiles, then paying attention to your ranking is easy. But what happens when you have 25, 100, 500, 1,000? Then like you have to be paying attention to trends, and you need a way, and that's where that metrics person comes in as your business scales. You need somebody to be checking in on this. You have to know your numbers, guys. What you measure improves, and if you're not measuring it, then where's the thinking are going to have any impact, right? Okay, so that's just one of the reports that I think it is a good thing to monitor. Okay, so let's talk about our manager scorecard. So you're going to look here, and we'll say, like, this is the project manager, and this is a scorecard that we would use. So on a weekly basis, we do calls. So in our company, it's every Monday. We do a call. I do a call with my managers, and my managers have to set up a call with the people that they're managing once a week. So the stuff kind of flows back up to the top, right? So I'm doing the call with the managers. We have multiple managers here, and we've got multiple of these, lots of these roles, right? We have multiple developers. We have a few of these positions. There's more than one of them, right? And Jeff is on this call with us too, right? So every Monday we're jumping on the call, and everyone goes through their scorecards, right? So this is kind of like the higher level stuff, right? So you don't want to have so many numbers. You want to kind of keep it small. This is an easy mistake to make, right? You can kind of see we've got maybe like, I don't know, 12 to 15 different things on this list. And these are things that we think are going to move the dial. And it's also some of the stuff that the people that are the managers are managing are keeping, like the things that they're responsible for. So they're kind of reporting back up, right? So how many pages were made live? How many blogs were made live? How many new websites went live? And if we did some edits, right? So how many Google Business Profiles? This is our Google Business Profile section. So we pay close attention to this. So if you think about like leading indicators and lagging indicators, that's an important thing to think of when you're building out your scorecard. So a leading indicator is, let's say, like having a new website go live. That's going to be the leading indicator for how many leads we have come in. The leads that arrived is a lagging indicator. That's telling us like what has happened. Like it's the result of the other work. For instance, if I am trying to get Google Business Profiles live, then I need to be sending enough. And if I want to send enough and I'm using Craigslist as my method to acquire them, then how many posts am I making, right? How many posts am I making? How many people have I responded to? How many people have we sent the card to? So we pay attention to this stuff a lot. How many were sent? This would be like the goal for numbers, even in our agency. Getting 150, that could be a little optimistic. However, we'll just go with it though. So sitting out 350, we're going to get 150 of those live. How many reinstatement requests? So if we've got 75 that we need to get live, then how many have we made? And you can kind of see, we're looking at this stuff. This is the date up here, right? How many did we do this week? So we're comparing it, and we can set a baseline, and we can set goals. And if this is what our goal is, right? If we want to have 12 websites live, and this looks like it's over, let's say like 10 weeks, then we need to be getting 1.2 live per week. And we'll know whether we're on pace or not based on like where we are with this. So if this is like 0, 0, 0, then hey, we've got 7 weeks left, right? Then we need to adjust it so that we can stay on pace. If you're not tracking this stuff, you don't know if you're off pace, then how do you know how to adjust to get on pace and actually accomplish the goals that you set? And if you're not doing that, then like, what's the point of having the goals? Having the goals is like, hey, this is where we're going to go. And now I'm going to make all these little adjustments along the way to make sure that I get to where I need to be. Okay, cool. So we have the ones that we've sent, the ones that are live. So reviews, we've got the goal to get reviews. So we're going to set up our like review requests, right? We're going to have the automations in place to get those. We're going to reach out to the client to see, to like, hey, who are some of your past clients that we can put into this reputation management review sequence, right? This one is kind of hanging around for us. We went through and we made a schedule for all of our Google business profiles to make sure that we're running it. We're getting the reports that we need on a weekly basis for every single Google business profile that's in our agency. And then we also have a checklist. So this is the collection of things like filling out the profile, setting up a Yelp account, right? Making sure that we've got 30 pictures, we've got the citations ordered. All these different things that we know are necessary to get the Google business profile best positioned to be able to rank, right? So I'm going to take a break here for a second. I know I'm going fast, and I do have a hard stop in 30 minutes, but I want to check in. Does anybody have any questions about what we've seen so far?
Very good.
Jeff, you haven't seen anything come through?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
Well, Spencer's asking about reports, as he'll do.
I know, Spencer. They're top of mind. They're coming. I just don't want to put a date on it. I've got to go through and test things again, and as you know, coming very soon. But we've really been enjoying using them in our agency. You guys should try them out. No, it is definitely a priority for us to get those out to you guys as quickly as possible. I just don't want to release anything that is like intermittent testing stage. So we've just got to do some final testing on that stuff. Okay, so client related stuff. So clients contacted, this could be for our customer success, right? What is our monthly recurring revenue this week? Some of this other stuff, because we're not actively prospecting for new clients just because we have a lot of referrals that come through. But if I were trying to grow my agency, then this role here and this company lineup, this client success, I would break this into sales, client success, and prospecting. And my prospecting would look like how many calls have been made, how many emails have been sent, how many conversations have happened, how many trials have been started. What are those goals? You need to know what a number is, and then you can gauge. You should be gauging your team's performance based on results, not based on a feeling, right? So we need numbers. I almost always have our managers working on some sort of special project, right? That could be training. You know, I've tasked them, if you're in that management role, then you shouldn't be, there's a level of initiative that you have to be in that role in our company. And you need to be going out and learning things. And so we ran a contest. I think we're actually going to take some of the stuff, but basically I took 4 or 5 of the people within our team, and I said, hey, whoever presents, you guys tell me the course or what you want, and I'll get it for you. And you guys learn it, and you study it, and then you come and you give us a 25-minute presentation to the rest of the team on what you learned. And whoever has present something with the most value is going to win a bonus. So through this, the people on my team, they all went out and learned, and then they actually presented it, worked really well. So I'm always trying to encourage my team to level up. And sometimes it's not necessarily with them learning. It's just like, hey, all this stuff that we're tracking, this isn't related to that, but we need this other thing. And we have a spot here to make room for that. Okay, cool. So what's different about this manager scorecard from some of the other ones? The managers I'm not measuring their time so much. It's more of like productivity, and we're looking at kind of the end result. These other ones are productivity based too, but we're also paying attention to their time. I think that a lot of times these other positions, we've had a harder time getting them like fully bought into the company and kind of taking ownership. This is a sample WordPress developer scorecard that we have. We pay attention to responsiveness issues. If things are not working good on mobile, stuff like this, resolving speed issues, what's left to resolve from speed issues, if there are responsiveness issues that need to be fixed. So adding new functionality to a site, updating content, or changing the design. And you can see the task timings here. So we've spent a lot of time coming up with these. So it's basically in our agency, they are being provided the page usually, right? They're copying an existing page if it's in WordPress, and they're already provided the content and the pictures. So they're basically taking that stuff and getting it fit in there. So we're going to allow them 10 minutes to do that, right? So this obviously bugs are going to take basically what we're going to do is we're going to take this and multiply it by this, and we're going to come up with a total time that we expect in minutes, and it worked. And we're going to decide, is this like within a reasonable expectation of like where we think they should be, right? So how many new sites did they make live? So apparently we're giving a lot more time for that, like 6 hours. So I'm not quite sure. Our managers are using this more, and I'm not quite sure what this non-site live is. My apology. Homepage is made live. We provide more time for that. So we're giving them a half hour to make a homepage live. We've already got the design set up. They don't have to do a lot of thinking on this. They're not building this thing out from scratch. Usually they're copying it. So other pages that are not homepages being made live, and then scheduling out blog posts. So we've talked a lot in the past about neighborhood pages. So we're giving them a little bit more time for that. Those are going to be a little bit more unique. This is actually migrating websites. So if we have a few months ago, we moved a lot of things over from one server over to another. So we migrated those, and that's what we're allowing for that time period. Making updates to themes or plugins. So a lot of this is going to be WordPress based, a new WordPress version. So that is like, that's different than the theme or a plugin. And then updating websites, or like, updating images and stuff like this. So this has worked out really well. In the past, we were really trying to pay attention to, like, we installed Time Doctor and we were trying to track their time. We still have them on Time Doctor, but now we're able to actually compare the productivity they've had with a real number, right? And our managers are the ones that are going through. I'm not going through. This is why I don't have all this exactly memorized. I'm not going through and looking at this. My managers are going through and they're identifying problems with these people's time. So now I have somebody else that is like holding these people accountable for their time on a weekly basis. And we've seen a big uptick in productivity. They don't necessarily like it that they get measured, but like like I said, we've caught people stealing, and I'm sure that they liked it more when they could steal money, right? But now we're really like, the question isn't like, is this person working when they're clocked in? The question is like, what are we getting for what I'm paying, right? That's the ultimate question. If they are maybe they're able to do this stuff really quickly, and then they take longer than they can, but I'm still getting it at a good price, then that's okay, I guess, right? It's really helping us understand what are we paying for and what are we actually getting, right? And it's kind of like reconciling that a little bit. Okay. All right. I've got to keep moving here. All right. So this is kind of like a general virtual assistant thing. We took into account that you guys may not have all these different roles here, right? So if you were to kind of, you may not have all of these separate positions. And if I were you, I would probably take this and divide it up into separate ones and have it be very role-based. But for those of you guys that maybe don't have 6, 7, 8 people within your agency, maybe you want to have all this stuff on one. So I've kind of got this where it's a combination of a lot of these different things. So we can say, like, how long is it going to take to send one of these, right? How long is it going to take to get one live? If it's oh, I'm sorry. This is how many were sent. This is yeah, this is the time. My apologies. How many were sent? How many went live? How many were suspended? And then when we're doing reinstatements, we know that it's going to take us about 5 minutes to do a reinstatement request, right? This is actually like the whole process for us, right? And these are completing checklists. So this is scheduling our post. This is making the post go live, right? This is geotagging photos. And we've actually got a really cool update that's going to come out, I think, in the next week, where you're going to be able to geotag all the photos and actually schedule photos through LeadSnap directly. So part of what Google is looking for is activity. So you can essentially upload a bulk amount of photos, geotag them, name them, and then schedule them to drip out over your Google Business Profile. So look for that in the next week. So getting them added in. So that's kind of like that authentication process. And then not quite sure why we have this on here, replying to reviews. And then we've got stuff in here for setting up the socials, right? So setting up our YouTube channel, setting up our Instagram. So all of this stuff we're doing for our, whenever we get a Google Business Profile, this is not our checklist, but these are things that are from our checklist, right? So I also have them tracking the money. So, you know, our managers now have the ability to pay for things. Like I've given them, if you guys have heard of Divvy, Divvy's a way where you can set up virtual cards and then you can set limits. It's pretty cool. But I've given my managers and my team their own credit cards within the company, but I want to report each week of what is being spent and where it's going. So this is kind of what this is about, right? This is the money that we're spending on Craigslist. If we're purchasing new phone numbers, if you guys have used proxies in the past, so like once we get our Google Business Profiles inside of LeadSnap, then we are managing it within LeadSnap to the best of our ability. But when we're going through the authentication process and trying to get those in place, a lot of times we're using proxies. So proxies are better than, you know, they're better than like a VPN. They're harder to detect. I think the type of proxy that you should use is a mobile 4G proxy. They rotate, they kind of replicate real behavior. If you're trying to use like a proxy that's not a mobile 4G, then like it's shared between a bunch of other people who may be doing nefarious things, and they maybe have just kind of like ruined the proxy for you. So text verified is something, you know, you like this question happened in the group this last week is like, can we get verification information through the numbers in LeadSnap? And the answer is like, sometimes. So you will not be able to get them on text and the way it is now. I'm looking to how we can potentially do that, but Google is like hip to voice over IP numbers. They don't like to send the text messages to voice over IP numbers. However, a lot of times you can get it through a phone call. Text verified is a service that you can spend some money and you can receive a text message through text verified. You buy some credits. So it's another expense that we have in our agency that we're tracking. Okay, cool. So this is kind of, like I said, like an all-encompassing scorecard that we have here. So this one is just for Google Business Profiles, right? So this is for getting new addresses, sending them out. It's the same one. Yeah. Okay, so we've broken this down. I think this is, I'm not sure what the difference is on that one. My apologies, guys. This is our metrics and reporting. So we've got a little timing in here, and this will be, you guys, depending on what you're tracking, you'll need to come up with your own timings, but this is just kind of to give you a basic understanding. So we know that it's going to take about 5 minutes for them to order citations, right? and doing an audit. We have an audit sheet that they can go through, and that's going to be a 45-minute process. So if they do 3 of these, then that's going to be 135 minutes, right? So it's going to take this times this, and that's going to get the minutes. And then we're going to divide this by 60, and that's going to give us the hours. And then we'll compare that to the amount of hours they work. So this is testing our forms. We test these to make sure everything is working as we expected. You know, we've had issues where like a WordPress theme or something is out of date, or a plugin updates and it breaks something on our form. So, you know, every, I think once a month we go through and we submit a test form submission to all of our sites, and we make sure that we're receiving that in LeadSnap, right? So this is our keyword research. So we have an SOP on that. So it takes about 45 minutes. So this is kind of our process for the metrics reporting. This is Google Analytics and Google Search Console. So them updating this stuff should take 2.5 minutes. So this is like per unit, right? So if I've got like Google Analytics on like one website is 1 unit, right? So they're going to like, we've updated it, we've gone and grabbed it, we've logged in, or we've grabbed the information from LeadSnap and we put it into the correct spot. And then they're going to build that report based on that information. So then gathering that little piece takes that time. So, right, again, we're just going to do simple math to figure that out, right? This is our receptionist who's answering the calls. So these are the things we're tracking from her, the amount of calls she's answered, the amount of calls she's missed. She's making outbound calls, how many calls have come in weekly, how many forms, how many qualified leads were sent, and how many text messages. If you guys are not paying attention to the text messages that come in on your tracking numbers, you're missing leads and opportunities. This is something that we've tried to make really easy within LeadSnap. We've got a lot of ideas on how to improve it. But, you know, I switched over I was using CallRail, and then we switched over to LeadSnap, and CallRail made it really hard to get to the text messages. And like, you have to go, now they have something called Lead Center, where you have to pay for each person that has access to it. But once we switched over and started using LeadSnap, then we started realizing all the opportunities that were missing. So now I have somebody, my receptionist is going through and looking for those opportunities. She's got a little script that she can use to help cultivate that relationship with the person that sent the text message and turn that into a lead. So she's asking for hey, let me just get your name. What are you looking to have done? What's your address? This type of information. She puts that into a lead and sends it over to our clients, right? And then she'll potentially have to go back and forth with this person a few times. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that we were we switched. So this is a little outdated for us because we're no longer doing backlinks this way. However, this is still a very valid way to do it. We just decided that it was more efficient for our time to purchase the backlinks, right? So now I've mentioned this in the past, we use Legit a lot. We may have some additional services coming on this in the future. But basically, we've got our site and we've got the priority of the site. And this is the links that we're getting over week 1, 2, and 3. And then you can kind of see this would go on for the entire quarter. And then down here, you kind of got a breakdown with the information. So we've talked about this in the past, but you guys really want to balance your link profile. So a naked URL is just going to be like the URL, a link with the URL. You guys have all seen it where it's like larrystowing.com is the link, right? And maybe there's another one that's like tow truck company Pasadena. So that would be like an exact match. So you need to balance that. The naked URL is going to be the one that probably should be the most prevalent, right? So you want those exact match to be somewhere around like between 10 and 15%, right? So we've got this, we had this, we were tracking this, we were tracking the anchor type to make sure that our backlinkers were following the schedule to build out the distribution of the link types in the appropriate manner. And then we would look at the link URL, where they could submit it, where the actual live link is, and then the domain rating and URL rating for that. And then we would score them. And we actually had a point system set up where we were giving them bonuses based on the points that they scored. So if the domain rating was like above a certain amount, and like we had different factors to calculate the points, and we adjusted it over time. Okay, cool. So I wanted to share this with you guys because I wanted you guys to have kind of maybe like a high level overview, some of the things that we're tracking. You can see that for these ones, it's a little bit harder for me because our managers have been managing these for so long, which is great because that's taken me out of the day-to-day on a lot of this stuff. And this stuff is fluid. Like it changes over time, right? Some of the stuff that we have in here now, we didn't have 2 or 3 years ago when I was managing all these people. It was a big move for me to go from here to put this extra layer in here, but it made a huge difference. And I posted this a little while ago. You know, this doesn't always run how I want it to run, right? Our agency isn't performing as well as it did when I was on top of everything. However, everything now is being run by, for the most part, this is being run by my team. And you know, the saying that I posted in the Facebook group is like, having something done 80% by somebody else is 100% awesome, because like I can go in here and I can work with them and I can try to improve them to clean this up, but it didn't cost me my time. And we've got it 80% of the way there. And it's my job to work with this person or these people here to make sure that these people are leveling up, right? So I'm constantly spending my time with my managers trying to help them improve, and spending my time with Jeff and trying to like bring up this level, and then they need to go and apply this management stuff down the train. If you guys are circumventing your managers and you're not cultivating someone for this position, you, as we mentioned last week, you are not necessarily investing your time, you're spending your time, right? You're basically treading water. You're helping your agency move forward, which is great, but you're not doing anything towards pulling yourself out of the business and building a scalable agency. Okay, so that was the end of my lecture.